Boopity boo.
Bang! Hello there, gaming fans. Welcome to my hideout. I am your host, the Horde! Back with another gameplay video for your entertainment today. And today, recently, we were making some fantastic progress in the triple murder case that we had been assigned in the delightful town of Vaudeville. So, today, we are heading back to continue with the line of questioning that had proven so fruitful in the last episode. Even Monsieur Saxabar was spilling his guts. I mean, he wasn't saying anything useful, but at least he was being pleasant and not just giving me one-word answers. So whatever I was doing in the last episode, I have to keep doing today, because we made some fantastic progress. We found out that it wasn't just Hayley Greenwood, one of the murder victims, who went on the trip to India with the Potters. It was actually all three. Turns out everyone has been lying to us at every opportunity they get. They're all in this together, I'm sure of it, but they can't all have committed the murders, so we're still trying to identify who did that. And the trip to India seems to have been key to the whole goddamn thing, because back when Mrs. Potter lied about it in episode 1 or 2, I can't remember, trying to cover up the fact that she knew one of the murder victims, turns out all of the goddamn murder victims went on this trip to India. And as well as that, Mrs. Potter's husband died there, and since then, Gravison and Potter have been having some kind of rough sex, brutal love affair, which gives us a fantastic starting point for today's video. So let's head off back to the weird and wonderful town of Vaudeville and see what delights the idiots have in store for us today. Okay, we are back 24 hours later after recording my introduction. I am ready to play the game. As you can see from the top corner, there was a microphone issue yesterday, and the characters would only pick up the first sentence I said. And I have a lot to say to each of these characters, because they have been tricking me. I say tricking, they've been outright lying to me. The only problem that means is, because I'm a little bit useless, I can't remember a single thing that I said in the introduction yesterday. So if I start repeating myself instantly, that's why, in the last episode, I decided, no, I would definitely have done that. We don't need to do that. Right, I didn't get the whole way across the town when I was trying to question everyone about everyone else. Where did I get to? I made my way pretty much the whole way across town and left out the bottom bit. I spoke to Gravison. I do need to go back to him. Spoke to Pascal and Mrs. Potter. I spoke to Monsieur Saxabar, who was very, very helpful for once. I spoke to Michelle at the country club, who was amazing. And I spoke to Biagio at the country club, who was not. We went to Cabane Violet and realised that Marina H does not have a brain, although she seems to think she has. We had a brief conversation with Ingrid at the Coral, which led us on to either the police station or the morgue. So I want to go and speak to the coroner first of all, because I've got a question specifically for her. Coroner Echeberria, do you know anything about the death of Mr. Potter?
I am familiar with the case.
Okay.
Poor soul met quite a tragic end.
I heard it was the flu.
Blunt-force trauma to the head, causing severe cranial fractures and internal bleeding. The time of death was estimated to be around midnight.
Are we sure about
based
this?
on the rigor mortis and lividity patterns. It appears that Mr. Potter suffered a severe blow to the occipital region.
Are you sure?
Resulting in immediate unconsciousness and subsequent demise. Quite a brutal way to go. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree, but I heard he died of the flu.
It seems there may be some confusion.
I fucking hope so.
I assure you, Mr. Potter did not succumb to the flu.
What?
The cause of his demise was indeed a traumatic injury to the cranium. As I mentioned earlier, the flu, while a dreadful illness in its own right, does not typically result in such injuries.
I know that! I'm not fucking
Understand that
stupid!
misinformation can spread like wildfire.
I don't know if we're talking about the right person, Coroner. Mrs. Potter said her husband died of the flu in India.
Detective Martini, it appears we may be dealing with a case of mistaken
Who's
identity.
mistaken, me or you?
It is not uncommon for rumors and misunderstandings to circulate,
It
especially
wasn't a
in
fucking
times of
rumour, she
distress.
was there.
However, based on my thorough examination and analysis, the cause of death for Mr. Potter was not the flu. The presence of severe cranial fractures and internal bleeding indicates a different
Well,
mechanism.
I
of
think
death
we need to go straight
altogether.
back to Mrs. Potter
Possible
and find
that
out
Mrs.
how
Potter may
the
be
flu
misinformed, but there may
caved
be
in
some other
Mr. Potter's
explanation for her
skull.
state.
Thanks for your help, Coroner. Over to Pascal's. That was a quick visit. I didn't quite see that going that way. Mrs. Potter, I've just been speaking to the coroner, and she said your husband had his head bashed in.
Oh, how dreadful. Such a gruesome fate for poor Victor.
Yeah.
It's truly a tragedy. But you know, life must go on. We can't dwell on the past forever, can we? Now, let's focus on something more pleasant, shall we?
Well, hang on, we need to dwell a little longer, because you told me he died of the flu.
Dear detective, you seem to have misunderstood.
I fucking didn't.
My late husband did indeed pass away from the flu, just
What?
as you said. But what you may not have realized is that the flu can be a rather forceful illness at times.
We can't bash your fucking head in.
Weaken a person to the point where even a simple fall could prove fatal.
Right, so you're telling me your husband had the flu, fell over, and smashed his skull in?
Detective Martini.
I nearly
you
said
have a way with
fucking skull,
words.
but she doesn't like it when I
It's
swear.
not quite as
I had
dramatic
to
as you
bite
make
my
it
tongue.
sound. But yes, my poor Victor did have an unfortunate accident.
Right.
It seems the combination of the flu and a moment of imbalance led to his untimely demise.
Weird.
It's a sad and tragic occurrence, but life has a way of surprising us, doesn't it?
Yeah, this town certainly has its way of surprising me. I'll be back, Mrs. Potter, I'm sure. Right, that's thrown me a little bit. Let's go back to the morgue. Shit, she's gonna hear that I said that.
I don't think I know what you're asking.
Good. Was there any paperwork that came from India with Mr. Potter's death?
As far as I know, there were no paperwork or documents from India
Nothing?
associated with Mr. Potts' death. From the autopsy, it appears that Mr. Potts suffered a heart
Who the
attack
fuck
due
is
to
Mr.
severe
Potts?
coronary artery disease. It seems that his passing was a result of natural causes.
I'm talking about Mr. Potter!
My apologies, detective. It must be the fault of my own thoughts clouding my understanding.
All the
Regarding
wax in
Mr.
your
Potter's
ears.
Case, there were no specific papers or documentation from India that
God
accompanied
damn it,
his
why?
body. However, during the examination, we did find traces of a rare plant extract in his system.
What?
It's quite intriguing, isn't it? The cause of his demise remains undetermined at this point, but it's possible
You
that
said he
further
died 'cause his skull was
investigation
bashed
into
in.
recent activities or connections may shed some light on this mysterious substance.
What kind of plant extract?
The exact nature of the plant extract is still uncertain. It's a rather peculiar and elusive compound that requires more thorough analysis.
Okay.
The preliminary tests indicate that it may be derived from a botanical source, possibly a member of the Solanaceae family,
What the fuck's the Solanaceae
known for its
family?
diverse range of plants such as belladonna or nightshade.
Alright, yeah, I've heard of them.
But please do keep in mind that this is merely speculation at this stage.
Is it possible that it was in mushrooms?
While it is indeed possible that the mysterious substance can be found in certain species of mushrooms, we must exercise caution before jumping to conclusions.
Well, I'm not jumping to
There
conclusions.
are
I didn't say it
various
was, I
compounds
just
present
asked.
in mushrooms that can have different effects on the human body.
But it's fine for you to start fucking accusing belladonna and nightshade, is it? So in your professional opinion, Mr. Potter has taken something that could have caused him to be dizzy, fall over, and bash his head open. Is that right?
My empathetic detective, while I understand your desire for a definitive answer,
It doesn't need to be definitive.
I must tread cautiously when speculating on Mr. Potter's
Speculate a little bit.
unfortunate fate. The evidence suggests that he may have ingested a substance that caused
Right.
dizziness or disorientation, potentially leading to a fall and subsequent head injury.
Right.
However, without concrete
Yeah,
identification,
got it. I'll go and get some evidence. So, he was the only one who had mushroom soup. He fell ill, he broke his head, and died. Now, someone collected those mushrooms. I don't know who that is yet. We need to go and speak to someone else who was on the trip. Hey, Gravison, I heard you like it rough.
Oh, my dear detective, I'm afraid you must have misunderstood.
I didn't.
I have a passion for collecting rare and peculiar items from around the world. But
And
I
rough
assure
sex.
you, what brings you to my humble abode?
I heard that you've been sleeping with Mrs. Potter, and Mrs. Potter's got bruises on her back from where you beat her while you nail her.
It seems there may be some misconceptions floating about.
Are there?
Mrs. Potter and Mrs. Bosses are esteemed acquaintances of mine.
Who the
but
fuck's
any
Mrs.
rumours of
Bosses?
impropriety are simply unfounded.
Is he having a
As for the
threesome?
mention of Naila, forgive me for not being familiar with that name. Perhaps you could enlighten me on who Naila is.
Naylor is not a person. I said nail her, as in Mrs. Potter.
My apologies for the confusion.
It's quite alright.
You were referring to mailing something to Mrs. Potter.
No.
How intriguing.
No, I was referring to nailing Mrs. Potter.
It seems there has been a misunderstanding in our
There's
conversation.
been plenty.
I'm afraid I am not familiar with the phrase you are using. Could you kindly clarify what you mean by nailing Mrs. Potter?
Yes, I can.
I assure you, I am always eager to learn new things and expand my
Oh,
knowledge.
I bet. I mean banging her.
Oh, my apologies once again.
Did you get that one?
It seems there was a misunderstanding in our communication. As a nobleman, it is not in my nature to engage in such discussions. Let us focus on more refined topics.
You know what I mean, though, don't you?
I'm afraid I still don't fully understand what you mean.
Come on, Gravison, you're a man of the world. I mean slipping her a length.
Goodness me, detective. Your choice of words is quite colourful, to say the least.
Well, it's your fault. You won't understand it when I try and
must
put it in
admit that
more
I am
gentle
not familiar
terms.
with the phrase you are using. Could you kindly elaborate or perhaps rephrase your statement?
This is the last time, Gravison, okay? I'm talking about your penis in her vagina.
I am not comfortable discussing this further.
But now you get what I'm talking about, right?
I'm afraid I'm still not following your line of conversation.
You're
As a
taking the
nobleman
piss,
with a refined
Grabson.
disposition, I prefer to engage in discussions that are cultured and uplifting. If there's another topic you'd like to explore, or if you have any questions about my collection or hobbies,
This is a question about your
I'd be
hobbies.
more than happy to oblige.
Forget the sex for a second, Gravison. I want to talk about India.
I am afraid I cannot answer your question.
I haven't asked one yet. I'm about to.
Of course, my apologies for the misunderstanding.
You've got to stop apologising, Gravson. You're wasting my time.
Apologies once again for any inconvenience caused.
You do not seem to be listening to me, Gravson. Stop saying sorry. Got it? Who went picking mushrooms on the India trip? Mushrooms?
India, you say? Yes, I do recall that journey quite vividly.
Good.
It was a remarkable expedition, filled with intrigue and
I
adventure.
care about the mushrooms, man.
Myself, the Potters, and a few other esteemed individuals embarked on that voyage to evaluate the
Yeah, I know.
possibility of starting a business together.
And only
We
you
had
two
plans for a
fucking
one-man
survived.
show, showcasing artifacts and talented artists from all corners of the
I
globe.
don't care about this.
It was quite the endeavour, I must say. But pray tell, my dear Detective Martini, what piques your interest about the mushrooms in
I
particular?
said mushrooms. I said mushrooms.
Shrooms. Are
Not
you referring
shrooms.
to the mystical mushrooms found in various
No.
parts of the world?
No. Regular mushrooms.
Oh, you mean ordinary, everyday mushrooms?
That's it, yeah.
I do have quite a fondness for those delectable culinary
Are
delights.
you the picker?
The earthy flavors and delicate textures of different mushroom varieties can truly elevate a dish to new heights.
Yeah.
Do tell me, Detective Martini, are you an avid mushroom enthusiast yourself?
Only on the weekends.
A time for leisure and indulgence.
And mushrooms. So who picked the mushrooms for the mushroom soup?
My apologies for any confusion, but I'm afraid I don't have the information you're seeking.
I'll be more direct then. Did you pick the mushrooms for the mushroom soup?
I do venture into the depths of my estate to gather fresh,
No.
succulent mushrooms for my personal enjoyment.
No, Gravison. Did you pick the mushrooms for the mushroom soup that Mr. Potter ate in India?
India, a land of wonder and exotic flavors.
And mushrooms.
I do recall the trip fondly, and while there were many culinary delights to savor, I'm afraid I cannot specifically recall the details of who picked the mushrooms for the mushroom soup.
But it wasn't you.
Oh, pardon me for any confusion. My good detective, seems I have misunderstood your line of questioning.
Oh, you're a prick,
If
Gravison.
it wasn't me who picked the mushrooms for the soup, then who, pray tell, had the honour of collecting those delectable specimens?
I don't know, Gravison. That's what I'm trying to find out. Can you confirm you did not collect the mushrooms?
As much as it pains me to admit, it appears that my memory fails me once again. It is true that I cannot confirm nor deny whether or not I personally collected the mushrooms.
So you
for that
may have
particular
collected
mushroom
them?
Soup. It is possible that someone else had the pleasure of gathering them.
Are you covering for someone, Gravison?
Covering for someone.
Yeah.
My detective, you do have a knack for weaving intriguing tales.
Well, it seems fucking
I
bizarre
assure
you can't remember
there is
anything.
no need for such suspicions.
Do you find it strange that the only people to have survived the India trip are you and Mrs. Potter?
It is indeed an interesting observation.
No shit.
However, I wouldn't deem it to be particularly strange or suspicious.
Well, I would.
After all, the world is full of extraordinary coincidences.
You call 4 people dying an extraordinary coincidence?
I see where the confusion lies. My observant
It's not
detective.
confusion, man.
Allow me to shed some light on the matter.
Alright.
While it is true that 4 individuals tragically lost their lives in recent weeks, I must clarify that Maria Jansen, Nicola Grossman, and Haley Greenwood were the unfortunate victims of these heinous crimes. They were not part of the group that ventured to India.
Yes, they were.
It is a most distressing turn of events, and I do hope that justice will be served for those who have been wronged.
Oi! Maria Jansen, Nicola Grossman, and Haley Greenwood all went to India, you liar!
My apologies, dear Detective Martini.
I'm getting quite
It
aggressive
seems
with
there's been a
Gravison. I know he's
misunderstanding.
hiding something
How
from me.
terribly embarrassing. You are absolutely correct, and I stand corrected.
You will fucking
It
stand
appears
corrected.
that my memory has failed me once again.
This guy's a
Indeed,
lying
the late
piece of
Mrs.
shit, man.
Johnson, Mr. Grossman, and Miss Greenwood were part of the entourage that journeyed to the captivating land of India.
What was my fucking original question? This bastard's confusing the hell out of me. So now do you agree that it is an extraordinary coincidence that 4 people from that trip are now dead?
You do have a way of uncovering intriguing patterns, don't you?
It's a pretty fucking obvious
It
one.
is indeed a curious coincidence that these unfortunate deaths have befallen individuals who were part of the same voyage to the enchanting realm of India. What thoughts and theories have crossed your mind regarding this extraordinary series series of events.
Well, my current theory, Count Gravison, is that Mr. Potter ate poisoned mushroom soup, then he died, and then 3 people have been murdered to cover it up.
My, what an imaginative theory you have there, Detective Martini. Truly, it sounds like the plot of a gripping mystery novel.
Or a gripping
Count
mystery
Gravison
game.
poisoning Mr. Potter with a nefarious mushroom soup and orchestrating the murders of 3 innocent individuals to conceal the truth.
I know, it's a big one.
How delightfully dramatic.
It is.
But I must ask, what leads you to suspect such sinister intentions from me?
Well, like I said, Count Gravison, only you and Mrs. Potter remain alive. So it's you or her.
You certainly have a flair for connecting the dots, don't you?
Yes, I do.
It is
I
true
was
that
Dr.
Mrs.
Dot
Potter
World
and I'm
Champion
still
in
among the living, but to
1994.
imply that we are somehow involved in these tragic events is quite a leap. After all, correlation does not always equal causation.
However, you two have been seen hand in hand at events. It seems as though there's more to your relationship than you've been letting on.
You have an uncanny ability to weave an intriguing narrative. Ah, the thrill of the hunt, the excitement of the chase. But I must clarify that Miss S. Potter and I share a common interest in various social gatherings and cultural pursuits.
Why do you need to hold a
We
hand
may
then?
have been seen together at these esteemed events, but I assure you, there is nothing amiss or untoward in our association. If you indulge me, let us explore other avenues of inquiry.
I don't have any more at the minute, Gravison, but I will be back. Let me go and see Doodar down at the Blackwoods. Alright, witch?
Dear visitor, it seems my words have become tangled in the branches of my mind.
Well, that doesn't
I
fucking bode well
apologize
for
for
us.
any confusion caused.
I'm not confused.
Could you kindly rephrase your question?
Do you know anything about poisonous mushrooms?
Oh, the secrets of the forest are vast and varied. My friend.
I bet they are.
Poisonous mushrooms. They are quite intriguing, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
They possess a certain allure, a charm hidden within their vibrant colors and delicate forms.
She's definitely been at
But
the magic
remember,
ones.
not all that glitters is safe to consume. You see, in the depths of the forest, I once had a conversation with a mushroom named Amanita.
You had a conversation with a
Whispered to me,
mushroom?
oh so subtly, saying, some people are poisonous and want to be like me. It was a cryptic message indeed.
That is pretty cryptic. What do you think it meant?
The mysteries of the forest are as vast as the starlit sky.
Can you quit with the
Amanita
bullshit and just
whispered
give me the
those
answer?
words to me. I couldn't help but be intrigued by their hidden message.
Me too.
Perhaps it was a reminder to be cautious of those who appear enticing but harbor poisonous intentions. Just as the mushroom itself may be alluring in its appearance, we must be mindful that not everything that glimmers is safe to grasp.
So there are poisonous mushrooms in the woods.
While it is true that the Blackwoods may indeed be home to some mushrooms that possess toxic properties,
Yeah?
we shouldn't let the presence of a few mischievous fungi overshadow the enchanting
I'm not, I'm
wonders
just
of the
trying to
entire
clarify.
forest. The woods are a tapestry of life.
I'm not
where
having
the
a go at the
dance of light
woods.
and
I
shadow
just want to
weaves
know
a
about the
symphony of
mushrooms.
existence.
Has anyone from the town Vaudeville spoken to you about poisonous mushrooms before?
My memory may be as elusive as a wisp of smoke, but I
Shit.
do recall some conversations with the townsfolk of Vaudeville about the curious nature of mushrooms.
Come on.
You see, the people of Vaudeville are quite knowledgeable about the flora and fauna
No, they're
that
not.
surround them.
They don't give a
They
shit.
appreciate the beauty and delicacy of these natural treasures. My interactions with the people of Vaudeville are often shrouded in metaphor and riddles, making it difficult to discern their exact intentions or knowledge on specific subjects.
I don't care about intentions. I just want to know who asked about mushrooms.
It seems I have wandered off the path of clarity once more.
Stay on the path of
To
clarity,
answer
or I'll
question
bash your fucking
directly,
head.
I do believe there have been some individuals from the town of Vaudeville who have
You said
inquired
that
about the
already!
world of fungi,
Who?
particularly the enigmatic and alluring realm of
Who?
mushroom. However, my memories of these encounters are as wisps of mist, fading and merging with the whispers of the forest.
Right. Has Mrs. Potter or Count Gravison spoken to you about poisonous mushrooms?
I must confess that the names Count Gravis and
Shit!
Miss S. Potter do not ring any bells in the echoes of my memory.
Maybe it was one of the 3 murder victims who made the mushroom soup, and then they've just been killed regardless. Were any of the recent murder victims down here talking to you about mushrooms?
My apologies, Detective Martini, but I do not possess the knowledge of the recent murder victims or their interactions with mushrooms.
Bollocks! Have you ever seen anyone down here picking mushrooms?
I have indeed witnessed individuals venturing
Okay.
into its depths in search of the humble mushroom.
The
The
poisonous
allure
ones?
of foraging for nature's treasures is not lost on some brave souls who dare to explore these woods.
Okay.
I have seen them tiptoe through the undergrowth, their eyes alight with curiosity,
Just fucking give me the
of
identity,
the
man.
fungi that catch their fancy.
Fuck off with your fungi.
But I must admit, the encounters are fleeting, like whispers carried away by the wind.
Can you name anyone who you've seen collecting poisonous mushrooms?
You have caught me in a moment of vulnerability.
She's getting put in a
The
fucking
memories
home,
that
man.
dance within the recesses of my mind are like fireflies in the night.
You are shit.
Elusive and ever-changing.
Shit, I tell
While
you.
I have observed people collecting mushrooms in the forest, I cannot recall specific instances
To be
of them
fair,
gathering.
that wouldn't actually make sense anyway. Why would they collect poisonous mushrooms in wherever the fuck country I'm in to then take them to India? I don't know when this is set, but I'm imagining you still can't take mushrooms abroad, yeah? You can't take mushrooms on a plane. Not allowed. They are a massive bomb risk. So now I'm a little bit stuck. Let me go see the chief. Hey, chief.
Well, what's got you all disgusted? Detective Martini?
I'm not disgusted.
You look like you've seen something that's turned your stomach.
Well, I haven't.
Do tell. I'm all ears.
I don't know what you're referring to, but I feel fine. And I look alright too.
Oh, forgive me if I misunderstood.
It's fine.
Alright then, if you say so.
Were there any other suspicions about the death of Mr. Potter in India?
I'm afraid I don't have much knowledge about what's happening outside of Vaudeville.
Well, yeah, but you know,
My
if one of our
focus is
fucking
solely on the
citizens has
cases
died.
within our city. But if you have any updates or information related to the recent murders in Vaudeville, I'm all ears.
You do know that Mr. Potter died in India, though, right?
Yeah, now I understand what you're referring to.
Great.
Yes, I have heard some whispers that a few of our businessmen from Vaudeville recently
And
made a
women,
trip to
you
India.
sexist prick.
But as for the specifics of Mr. Potter's death or any other details, I'm afraid I don't have that information. It seems like an unfortunate incident, though.
Well, the coroner seems to think that he might have been poisoned.
Poisoned. That's quite a serious accusation, Detective
It wasn't
Martini.
fucking mine.
Who
The
is it
coroner
that
told me.
thinks I may have been poisoned?
Not you.
And what evidence do they have to support such a claim?
Have you been drinking, Chief Gretzky?
Drinking. Well, yes, I do enjoy a good drink now and then, but I don't understand why that's relevant to our discussion.
Well, it's relevant if you've been drinking before I spoke to you. Are you drunk now?
No, I am not drunk.
Good. The coroner thinks that Mr. Potter was poisoned.
The coroner believes Mr. Potter was poisoned.
Yes,
That's a troubling development.
I know.
We'll need to gather more information and investigate this thoroughly. Do we have any leads on who might have had access to him or a motive for the poisoning? We must proceed with caution and follow every lead to uncover the truth.
Well, it's quite complicated, but all the murder victims were on the same trip to India with Count Gravison and the Potters.
Count Gravison and the POTUS.
Not the POTUS.
Now, that's quite the company these victims
The president
were.
wasn't there, man.
It certainly adds an intriguing twist to the case.
You mishear me, Chief Gretzky. Not the president, the Potters.
Yeah, my apologies for the misunderstanding, Detective.
Quite alright.
The Potters.
I
you
know you're
say.
pissed.
Could you provide me with more information about them?
Yes, Mr. and Mrs. Potter.
Mr. and Mrs. Potter, you say.
That's the ones.
Interesting. Are they residents of Vaudeville?
Yes, one spends most of her time in Pascal's groceries. The other is buried in the cemetery.
Interesting. So, Mrs. Potter was a frequent visitor.
Is
of
she
Pascal's
still alive?
grocery. We should speak with the owner and find out if there were any unusual occurrences or interactions.
Pascal's not involved, man.
Mrs. Potter. As for her burial in the cemetery, it's a
She's
sad
not
outcome
dead.
indeed.
Chief, please, you need to sober up before we have a conversation, yeah? I'm gonna be back in 10 minutes. Get some coffee. This guy's a fucking idiot, man. Right, how did you get the bruises on your back, Mrs. Potter? Not bike. How did you get the... Not bike. Stop saying bike, you prick. How did you get the bruises on your back?
These bruises on my back.
That's the ones.
Well, let's just say I had a bit of a tumble during one of my mushroom picking
What?
expeditions.
She's just
Or
fucking
it's
outed
quite
herself.
treacherous, but I do enjoy the thrill of the hunt, even if it means a few bumps and
A
bruises
mushroom
along
hunt?
the
Are
way.
you fucking mad?
It's all part of the adventure, isn't it?
Hang on, are you telling me you are the mushroom picker?
Well, it seems you've uncovered my secret.
Well, you didn't hide it
Yes,
very well, you just
I am
fucking
indeed
told
the
me.
renowned mushroom picker of Vaudeville.
The renowned
I'm
mushroom
keen
picker of
after those
Vaudeville.
elusive fungi. You see, it's my little secret hobby that brings me great joy. Let's keep it between us, shall we?
I don't think we will, Mrs. Potter. I think this may be your downfall. So did you pick the mushrooms for your husband's soup in India?
How I wish I could have gone to India with my dear Victor.
You did?
But alas, I was left behind, tending to my duties as a proper housewife.
No, you fucking weren't.
As for the mushrooms, they were not for my husband's soup.
Not those
They were
mushrooms.
from my own personal collection.
Mrs. Potter, I already know you were in India, and I know your husband ate mushroom soup, and I know someone in the group picked those mushrooms. Was that you?
Oh, how clever of you to piece it all together.
Well, I am pretty
Yes,
fucking
I
smart.
confess, I was indeed the one who picked those mushrooms in the depths of the Indian
Wowzers.
forest.
Okay.
It was a secret little endeavor of mine, you know? But it seems my secret is out now. Ah, the thrill of the forbidden.
Honestly, always about the fucking forbidden with you. So if you're such a good collector of mushrooms, you must know which ones are safe and which ones are poisonous, right?
I must admit that my knowledge of mushroom foraging is quite extensive.
I never would have pegged
I
you for
have
that.
spent countless hours studying the various species, distinguishing the safe from the
This
poisonous.
isn't helping your alibi.
But you see, the allure of the dangerous and mysterious can be quite tempting. Wouldn't you agree?
Not when it comes to mushrooms.
Of course. I always take precautions and make sure to avoid any mishaps.
Sure you do. And I'm sure you also plan meticulously when you're planning to poison someone to death. So let me move on to Count Gravison. I've heard that you two have got a little bit of a thing going on.
Well, isn't that an interesting rumor making the rounds?
Yes, it is.
People do love to gossip, don't they?
Oh, yes, we do.
But let me assure you, I have no interest in entertaining baseless speculation. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some shopping to attend to.
Oh, she didn't like
Good day
that.
to you.
Excuse me, Mrs. Potter, I'm not finished with you yet.
My dear, I do apologize if I've given you the wrong impression, but I'm afraid I must insist on maintaining my privacy.
Well, I don't give a shit about your privacy. I'm the law and you'll answer my questions. Shit, I'm not the
Let's change
Lord.
the
I'm not God.
subject.
Am I? Maybe I am.
Seems you're determined to dig deeper into matters that don't concern you.
Well, 4 people dying of murder does concern me.
Murders, you say.
Yes,
How dreadful.
I know.
But I'm afraid I can't shed any light on the matter.
I don't believe
I'm
you.
just a simple housewife, blissfully unaware of the dark underbelly of vaudeville.
I've spoken to the coroner, you know, Mrs. Potter, and she says that Mr. Potter was poisoned by mushrooms.
Mr. Pasta poisoned by mushrooms, you say.
No, that's not what I said.
My, that is quite the scandalous accusation.
Does she call
But
her
I must
husband
say,
Mr. Pasta?
It does add a certain twist to the tale, doesn't it?
Yeah,
The
it
power
does.
of mushrooms, so innocent looking yet capable of such mischief.
They're not capable
It's
of
a shame,
mischief, man.
really. Such a tragic end to a man who couldn't appreciate the finer things in life.
Is she just admitting it to me
But who
now?
am I to judge? Mr. Pasta poisoned by mushrooms. That's terrible news. I never intended for anything like that to happen. I just wanted to share the beauty of nature's bounty with him.
Fucking hell, she's admitting
This
it.
is also so unexpected. I need a moment to collect myself.
You're not fucking having it.
Excuse me.
No.
Oh, my dear. I must apologize if I seemed a bit distraught.
So you admit to poisoning your husband?
Ah, my words seem to have been misunderstood. I do enjoy a touch of mischief, but I assure you, I would never harm a hair on my late husband's head.
Even if it was by mistake, yeah? You still did it.
Mistakes can be made, my dear.
I'll take that as a confession.
Confirmation, you say.
I said confession, but never mind. So if you're not in a relationship with Count Gravison, do you think that he wants to be?
Count Gravison, what an eccentric character he is. I must admit, I do enjoy spending my leisurely afternoons at his manor.
So they spend a lot of time
He always
together.
has the most fascinating anecdotes to share,
He
and his
fucking
collection
doesn't.
of strange antiquities is simply captivating.
Yeah.
It's a delightful escape from the mundane routines of everyday life, but enough about that. There are mushrooms to be picked in culinary
Stop talking about the
adventures to
mushrooms, man. You've
embark
already dug
upon.
yourself into that fucking hole.
Toodaloo.
What do you mean fucking toodaloo? You're going nowhere, woman. I'm talking to you.
There's no need to resort to such impolite language.
Nothing
It
I said
doesn't
was
suit a
impolite
person of
then.
your esteemed position, does it?
Yes.
If you insist on playing this little game, I can assure you, I'm quite adept at holding my ground.
Do you think Count Gravison is in love with you?
Love, my dear, is a complicated matter, isn't it? Count
Too
Gravison
fucking right it
is
is.
indeed a fascinating individual, but as for the depths of his affections, who can truly know? Our interactions are filled with charm, wit, and a shared appreciation for the finer things in life.
So he's never said anything to you that makes you think that he likes you in that way?
Oh, my. Detective Martini, you seem to be quite fixated on the idea of Count Graveson's feelings towards me. How delightful. But I must confess, a lady never reveals all her secrets.
Did everyone on the trip know that you made the mushroom soup?
Well, Detective Martini, you're quite the relentless one, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm
Always
not giving up,
probing,
man.
Always prying.
Yep.
But I must say, your persistence amuses me.
It won't
To
do when you're
answer your
rotting in
question,
fucking prison.
No, not everyone on the trip knew about my special mushroom soup.
Okay, Who did know about your special mushroom soup?
My. It seems you're insatiable in your quest for details, aren't you? But I'm afraid I won't be handing out that information so easily.
Why is it such a secret?
Secrets are the spice of life.
Oh, fuck off.
I am sorry, but I cannot
Wasn't a
answer your question.
Who knew about the mushroom soup?
The curious mind persists, doesn't it? But I'm afraid I won't be revealing the names of those who had the pleasure of tasting my exquisite
I know who
mushroom
tasted
soup.
it. It was your
It's a
fucking husband,
tantalizing
daft
little secret
bitch.
that shall remain locked away in the depths of my mischievous heart.
Right, I'm going back to Grabson. Hey, Grabson, did you know that Mrs. Potter poisoned her husband?
How intriguing.
I know.
Pray, do tell me more about this scandalous accusation.
It's not an accusation. She just admitted it.
Admitted. My, this is getting more interesting by the minute.
I know.
You mean to say that Miss S. Potter confessed to the act of poisoning her own husband?
Exactly.
My goodness, how utterly captivating. I must admit, I am positively intrigued by the depths of human nature and the mysteries that lay within. What could have driven Miss S. Potter to confess to such a grave crime?
Now that, I don't actually know. He was a bit of a dick, wasn't he, Mr. Potter?
Ah, Mr. Pasta, you say?
No,
How intriguing.
not Mr. Pasta, Mr. Potter.
Oh, my apologies, Detective Martini.
Quite all right.
I seem to have misunderstood.
You do that a
So,
lot.
it was Mr. Potter who was poisoned, and Miss S. Potter confessed to the act.
Correct. Thanks for the summary.
Fascinating. Pray, do tell me more about this enigmatic couple. What was Mr. Potter like?
Well, I don't know him. He died before I got here. You know him. What was he like?
Maria Jansen, Nicola Grossman, and Haley Greenwood, you say?
No.
How
No.
terribly tragic.
What?
I must admit, I had not heard of these unfortunate souls before.
Right, that's not what I said, but yes, you did, because you went to India with all three of them.
I do recall that marvelous expedition.
All coming back to you,
We
is
ventured
it?
to the vibrant lands of India to explore the
I know
possibilities
that.
of starting a business together. You see, we had this grand idea of creating a traveling
I
show,
fucking know that.
showcasing the most peculiar artifacts and talented
Shut
artists
up.
from all corners of the globe.
Back to the point. What was Mr. Potter like as a husband?
I must confess, I did not have the privilege of knowing the men personally. However, I am quite intrigued to hear your perspective.
I don't have
Detective
one.
Martini,
What was Mr. Potter like on the India trip?
that was an adventure to remember.
I don't care about
Mr.
the adventure,
Potter,
man. I
a
care
fellow
about Mr.
traveller,
Potter.
I presume. How did Mr. Potter carry himself during our time in the
I
vibrant
wasn't
lands of
fucking
India?
there. You
Did
were
he display
there.
a sense of curiosity and wonder, or was he more focused on the business aspects of our expedition?
You were there, Count Gravison. You know what he was like. Now tell me.
While I was indeed present on the journey to India, my attention was often captivated by the wonders we encountered rather than the personal dynamics of my companions. However, if you wish to know more about Mr. Potter's character and behavior on the trip,
Yeah?
I can certainly try to recall any notable moments or interactions. Please do indulge me with a specific inquiry, and I shall do my best to provide you with the information you seek.
Did Mr. Potter treat his wife badly on the India trip?
The dynamic between Mr. and Mrs. Potter on the India trip, you
That's
say?
exactly what I want to know.
Well, I do believe that every relationship has its ups and downs. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree.
It is quite common for couples to have their disagreements and occasional tensions,
Yes?
especially in the midst of such an adventurous expedition. What leads you to suspect that Mr. Potter may have treated his wife poorly during our time in the enchanting lands of India?
Well, I'm wondering why Mrs. Potter would poison him.
Now that is a puzzling question indeed. My
Exactly.
dear detective, why would Mrs. Potter resort to poisoning her own husband?
Because he's a dick.
Perhaps there were underlying conflicts and secrets within their marriage that drove her to take such drastic measures. Or could it be a case of desperation, where she felt trapped and saw no other way out?
Well, that's what I'm trying to
The
find
human
out, man.
mind can be a labyrinth of emotions and motivations, don't you think?
I do think that. So, again, can you tell me about the dynamic between their relationship on the India trip? It sounds as though they had some problems.
I do recall that there were some moments of tension and
Okay.
disagreement between the two. It seemed as though they were grappling with certain challenges in their relationship.
Okay.
But please, do allow me to emphasize that I do not wish to speculate or spread gossip about the personal affairs of others.
Understood. But what challenges do you know of in their relationship?
Well, as I mentioned before, I do not have direct knowledge of their personal struggles or conflicts.
But you saw something.
However, relationships can be complex and multifaceted, with various challenges that may arise.
Yeah?
It could be differences in personality, conflicting desires or goals, or even external pressures that put a strain on their bond.
So which was it?
While I lack specific details, I do believe that every relationship faces
Right,
its
he's not
own
going to give
meanings
me
and
anything.
hurdles.
He's being a
It
prick.
is quite possible that Mr. and Mrs. Potter encountered difficulties in their marriage.
How do you feel about Mrs. Potter?
An intriguing woman, indeed.
She is.
I must admit, I find her rather fascinating.
Just
She
fascinating.
possesses a certain allure and charm that captivates those around her.
Has she charmed and captivated you?
My dear detective, I assure you that I am not one to be easily swayed by mere charms.
What about
While
blowjobs?
Mrs. Potter is undoubtedly a charismatic and enchanting individual, I pride myself on maintaining a level-headed approach to interactions with others. However, I am curious as to why you bring up this particular point.
Well, Mrs. Potter talked at length about spending time in your manor.
I must admit, I am quite surprised by this revelation.
Weren't you there?
Pray, do tell me more, Detective Martini.
She said that you spend the days together, talking, laughing, enjoying each other's company.
Did she now?
Yeah,
Mrs. Potter claimed that we spent our days together, talking, laughing, and enjoying each other's company.
exactly right,
That
yeah.
is certainly an unexpected assertion, I must say.
Well, how would you
While
put
I
it?
do recall having pleasant conversations with Mrs. Potter, I cannot recall any extended periods of shared leisurely activities.
So you're saying that she doesn't come to your manor?
Mrs. Potter has indeed visited my manor on a few occasions.
Have you ever kissed Mrs. Potter?
Well, my curious friend, you certainly have a knack for asking intriguing questions.
I know, I'm doing it on
Kiss
purpose.
Mrs. Potter, you ask.
Yeah.
Now that is a thought that fills me with curiosity.
Oh, you want to know what
I
it's
cannot
like, do you?
help but wonder why you are so keen to delve into the realm of my past interactions with Mrs. Potter. But alas, I am afraid I cannot satisfy your curiosity in this matter.
You mean you won't tell me?
Things are best left to the imagination.
Well, Count Gravison, if you're leaving it to my imagination, I am sure that you've fucked her.
I'm sorry, I don't want to talk about it.
Can you tell me why Monsieur Saxabar was going to go on the India trip?
Oh, my, I'm afraid there seems to be some confusion.
There
my
definitely
good
is.
sir.
I didn't say Monsieur Sexy Ball. Can you tell me why Monsieur Saxabar was going to go on the India trip?
Miss Sexy Ball going on the India trip, you say?
No, not Sexy Ball. Can you tell me why Monsieur Saxabar was going on the India trip?
My dear detective, I must confess that the mention of a person named Miss Sexy Ball going on the India trip still perplexes me. Ah, Monsieur Saxabar, you say? Now that's a familiar name. Monsieur Saxabar, if memory serves me right, was a renowned musician and entertainer from Vaudeville.
He runs a
He
fucking
had quite the
circus,
talent
mate.
for playing the saxophone.
What?
As for his reasons for joining the India trip, I'm afraid I
I
cannot
heard he was
say
a
for certain.
pianist in the last episode.
However, Monsieur Saxabar was known to have a deep interest in exploring different cultures and seeking inspiration
Really?
for his music.
I'm asking him about that because I don't fucking believe you. Hi, do you play the saxophone?
No, I do not play the saxophone.
What about the piano?
No, I do not play the piano either.
Do you play any instruments?
No, I don't waste my time with such trivialities.
Can you think of a reason why Count Gravison would say that you do play the saxophone?
Count Bravison must have mistaken me for someone else. Simple as that.
Sounds quite likely, to be fair. Why were you supposed to go on the India trip?
I have no interest in going on any India trip.
But there was an India trip, and you didn't go at the last minute.
That's none of your business.
Please, Monsieur Saxabar, it's important. Why didn't you go to India?
It's not important. Let's focus on more interesting
It is
matters,
important.
shall we?
No, it is important. Why were you supposed to go to India?
None of your concern.
It is my concern.
And why, pray tell, is my supposed trip to India your concern?
Because I want to know what part in the business venture you had.
No part.
So why were you going to India?
Business.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Okay, what business?
My own affairs.
Was it circus related?
Yes.
Was it to get new animals?
Yes.
What animals were you going to get? Lions?
Of course. Lions.
You were going to get lions from India.
No.
Okay, what then?
Yet.
What?
None of your concern.
Can we start again, please, Monsieur Saxabar? I think we've gotten a little bit tied up. You were supposed to go to India with Marina H.
No.
You fucking were. Monsieur Saxabar does not play the saxophone.
You've stumbled upon one of my little secrets.
Why is that a
You are
secret?
correct. Monsieur Saxabar does not play the saxophone.
Why did you tell me he
In
did?
fact, he is a renowned animal trainer and performer in the circus.
That's what I thought he
Quite a
was.
fascinating character, I must say. But do tell me, how did you come across this tidbit of information?
I asked him.
Oh, how delightful.
I know.
So you've had the pleasure of speaking with Monsieur Saxabar himself.
I wouldn't call it pleasure. Why was Monsieur Saxabar supposed to go to India?
India, you say?
Oh, don't
How
fucking
intriguing.
start.
Let me enlighten you.
Please.
Mr. and Mrs. Potter, along with a few other investors and entertainers, including myself,
Yeah?
ventured to India to explore the possibility of starting a business
I
together.
know!
Our grand vision was to create a traveling show, showcasing not only my extensive collection of odd artifacts from around the world, but also talented artists from various corners of the globe.
But why was Saxabar going?
Oh, how marvelous. I do love a good mystery.
Why was Saxabar going?
I cannot answer your question.
Why was Saxabar going?
I am sorry, but I cannot answer your question.
Why was Saxabar going?
I'm not sure if I can answer your question.
One of the problems with this game is the names that they've chosen for people. Every time I say Saxabar, it's clear to you and me, I'm saying Saxabar. This prick, either he is Sexaball or my sexy ball. It doesn't get us anywhere. Because as soon as you mention sex, this fucking idiot, he clams up. I'm gonna have to type it.
My dear Detective Martini, you've piqued my
Shut up!
curiosity.
Fuck off.
I do not have the answer to your question.
Not you.
Well, my esteemed detective, I must confess that I am quite perplexed by your question.
Stop it, you
say.
prick.
Are you referring to the act of
Smoking?
indulging in tobacco or some other form of smoke?
It's the
Indulging
same thing
more
about
refined
smoking.
pursuits? But do tell me,
Shut
why
the
does
fuck
this
up,
topic
man.
of smoking interest you? I do believe we have already discussed Monsieur Suxabar's involvement in our grand Indian venture.
Not
I am
exactly.
curious as to what has sparked this sudden fascination with his intentions.
I just want to know why a circus owner was going to India and what part of the business venture he had.
It seems I may have misunderstood your question earlier.
That
You are
does
quite
not
right
surprise
to inquire
me.
about the specific role Monsieur Suxabar in
Thank
our
you.
business endeavor.
I knew I
As
was
a circus
right.
owner, his expertise in animal training was invaluable to us.
Why?
He plans to explore the exotic fauna of India, seeking out unique creatures that could add an extra touch of wonder to our traveling
What
show.
unique
I must
creatures?
say, his enthusiasm was quite infectious. Is there a particular reason why you are so interested in the details of his role?
Yes, because it seemed odd that he would be invited.
I assure you that there was nothing odd about inviting Monsieur Suxabar to join our venture.
Well, I should just take your fucking word for it, should I? What unique creatures were you seeking out?
During our exploration in the vibrant lands of India, we had hopes of discovering magnificent beasts that would captivate the imaginations
Like
of
what?
audiences far and wide, from majestic elephants to elusive tigers, and perhaps even mythical creatures whispered in ancient
Oh my
legends.
god, he's not talking about lions with
The
fucking eagle wings
possibilities were
again, were ya?
endless.
What kind of mythical creatures did you expect to find?
My dear Detective Martini, you have certainly caught me off guard with your inquiry about mythical creatures.
Why? You mentioned
While I must admit that the existence of such beings is a matter of folklore and legend, it is always intriguing to entertain the possibility. However, I must clarify that we did not have any specific expectations of finding actual mythical creatures during our venture. It was more of a whimsical notion, a nod to the fantastical tales that have captured the human
it.
imagination
Alright, fair
throughout
enough.
history.
But what could it have been?
Oh, the possibilities are truly endless, aren't they?
No.
If we were to indulge in the realm of fantasy, one could imagine stumbling upon majestic phoenixes with their fiery
Like a
plumage,
phoenix.
graceful mermaids frolicking in the depths of Indian waters,
mermaid?
or even elusive and wise dragons guarding hidden treasures.
You sound like children, you idiots.
Ah, I see that you have chosen to express your frustration, Detective Martini.
It's not frustration. You're talking about mermaids, and I've got Mrs. Potter talking about lions with the wings of eagles.
I wasn't aware that discussing mythical creatures and the wonders of the world could elicit anger, but alas,
not angry.
emotions are a fascinating aspect of human nature. However, I am quite puzzled by your mention of Mrs. Potter and lions. Would
Why?
you care to elaborate on that connection?
I was talking to her about the India trip, and she talked about lions with eagle wings.
Oh, indeed. Mrs.
Yeah.
Potter spoke of such fantastical beings,
Yeah.
lions with eagle wings. You
She's a
say,
fucking
that's
idiot.
a most extraordinary notion, one that piques both curiosity and skepticism within me.
And me.
Detective Martini, did Mrs. Potter share any specific details or stories about these remarkable creatures?
She just said she wanted to find one in India.
I see. Mrs. Potter expressed a desire to find these lion creatures with eagle wings in India.
Yes.
Fascinating. I
Yes.
must admit, it is quite an unusual request.
I
Lions
know.
with eagle wings are not typically found in the natural world.
Did you find any animals to send home to Monsieur Saxabar?
Ah, my dear Detective Martini, your mention of Miss Potter and the animal sparks joy
Oh, it's
in
Miss
my heart.
Potter now, is it?
Our
She's
ventures
married,
in
man.
India
It's
did come across
Mrs.
some fascinating creatures. While we did not specifically find any animals to send home to Miss Potter,
I said
we did
Saxabar,
encounter
you
majestic
dick.
elephants, elusive tigers, and a variety of other unique species that left a lasting impression on our expedition.
What unique species did you find?
During our exploration in the vibrant lands of India, we had the pleasure of encountering a myriad of extraordinary and captivating creatures.
Yeah, what?
From the graceful peacocks displaying their magnificent plumage to the mischievous langur monkeys swinging through the trees.
They're not fucking unique. Peacocks and monkeys are not unique.
My apologies, Detective Martini, for my choice of words. You are quite right. In the grand scheme of the animal kingdom, one could argue that both the majestic beauty of the peacock and the playful antics of the monkey are not entirely unique.
And I will argue that to my dying day. Now, was there a more unique animal?
I can see that the peacocks and monkeys may not have satisfied your thirst
No,
for the
they have not.
extraordinary.
They have not.
Pray, do enlighten me. What kind of more unique creature have you come across in your journeys?
I've just come across idiots and dipshits.
I'm not comfortable with this.
I didn't think you would be.
Indeed. How intriguing.
Were any animals from the India trip sent back to the circus in Vaudeville?
To answer your query, yes. Some of the unique and captivating animals that we encountered on our Indian expedition were indeed brought back to the circus in Vaudeville.
Okay.
Lions, tigers, and even a few rare species of birds found their way to the grand spectacle
He
of the
said he
Vaudeville
only had
circus.
lions.
It was a sight to behold, I assure you.
Thank you for that. Count Gravison said that they sent some weird animals back from India to your circus.
Oh, do you now? How fascinating.
Yes, he did. Is it true?
Of course it's true. Why would I lie about such a thing?
Well, he said that he sent back a variety of animals, and you told me you only have lions.
Yeah, my dear Detective Martini, you seem to have misunderstood.
I fucking didn't.
I may be known for my lions, but that doesn't mean I don't have a few surprises up my sleeve.
I can imagine.
You see, a lion tamer must always keep an element of mystery. Don't you agree?
I do. What surprises have you got up your sleeve?
No, you'll just have to wait and find out, won't you?
What if I say please?
No,
What if I say pretty please?
no,
What if I say pretty please with a cherry on top?
no.
What if I suck you off?
I am sorry, but I cannot answer your question.
That's a yes. Shit, I quit. Shit indeed, I did quit. But I feel like it's a good point because I've had some information and I don't quite know what to do with it. I thought I could have wrapped it up today. A few more things, even things that I didn't expect, like the mushrooms, have played a prominent part in today's story. But I'm still left with questions about what the hell is going on and who committed the murders. I've solved the killing of Mr. Potter in India, but that wasn't my job. I wasn't hired for that. I'm supposed to be doing the other 3 killings. But now we found out, at least, that Saxabar, or My Sexy Bull, does indeed have more animals than lions. So maybe one of those beasts is the one that killed the one who got killed by an animal. I can't remember. What's her name? It's not Greenwood. Haley? That's Greenwood, you twat. The other one. So let me process this. Let me figure it out. Normally, when it comes to the editing process, that's where I notice there was something else for me to press and question on. But in the moment, I get carried away and start calling people bellends and asking for blowjobs. But all that's left to do today is, thank you for watching the video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please take care of yourselves out there, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.